Welcome to the Big Four Steps in Library Database Searching. Step number 1, go to the library homepage and choose a database. You can see this little tab here, Databases. Now, you do this by asking yourself questions about your research topic. Questions like, who do you want to hear from? Which academic departments or disciplines would be interested in this topic? Who would have done research in this area? You also need to think about things like the format of information you want. Do you want books? Do you want chapters in books? Do you want scholarly journal articles? Do you want newspaper articles? And to some extent, you have to think about the time frame. Do you want current information or do you want older information, and so on. For the purposes of this, I am going to assume that you want scholarly journal articles, maybe published since 2000. And my sample research question is going to be, how have Muslims been portrayed in American popular media? So I'm going to click on the Databases tab and browse by subject. All these different subjects. This is where what I meant by ask yourself who would be interested in this topic. Well, I'm thinking, how have Muslims been portrayed in American pop media? That sounds like something that they would research in the communication department, doesn't it? Or maybe ethnic studies, maybe history. Okay, you don't have to stop with just one. You can do more than one. Right now, I am going to choose communication. These are all the communication databases. You can tell a lot from the title of the database. Okay, a nice broad one, communication in general, is this one here, communication source. That's the kind of thing you want to look for. Often the title of the database actually reflects the contents generally. So communication source it is. I've chosen my database. So I'll click on that. So here we are at step 2, construct a logical search. Most of the databases you will be searching for journal articles will have this general kind of layout. You'll have search boxes on the top into which you can type words. And below this, you will have all sorts of options to set limits. This area in particular will vary from database to database. The big issue here, though, is what do you put in those boxes? And this is where most people go awry. Keep it simple. Think of each box as a place to put one idea. Ideas are connected by the Boolean AND. So my topic has how many ideas again? How have Muslims been portrayed in American pop culture? Obviously, one idea is Muslims. Think of each box as a place to put ideas. Some of you probably know what that asterisk does. It picks up different endings. In this case, probably just a singular and a plural, but still, it never hurts. What's another idea? Well, another idea is probably portrayal or portrayed or some version of that word. So again, we're going to use the asterisk to truncate. So we'll get all the versions of that word. And then what else do we have? How have Muslims been portrayed in American pop culture? American pop culture. Well, words like American or US or United States are somewhat problematic. You never start out a search using that. You only add it later if you need it. Most of these databases tend to be US focused. So it's kind of rhetorical. So we're going to leave that out. So what does that leave me with? It leaves me with pop culture. Pop, popular. I'm going to use that asterisk again. Culture. And you'll notice I put this in quotes. When you have a phrase, pop culture, popular culture, you put it in quotes. Now that's a logical starting search. You click the search box, and that will bring us to step 3. This is the big step. This is the hardest step. This is the most critical step. This is where you look at what you got in your initial search and you try to make it better. Even the most experienced librarian generally does not just do one search. We do one search, it's kind of exploratory, and then we start looking. And what we're looking for is language. So we have those 3 ideas, Muslims, portrayal, and pop culture. Probably, definitely, there's more than one way to express each of those ideas. And what we want to do is find the best way, the most important ways. And what I'm going to do is I am going to look specifically in the titles of the items I retrieved, especially the ones that are right on target topic-wise. And I'm also going to look here where it says subjects. Think of subjects as like a language of the database. This is where you're going to find the real power words for searching in any particular database. How powerful it is varies from database to database, but you always want to look there. You never assume that the initial searches got the best words. Just looking at this very first one, what do I notice? Well, I notice Muslims, but then I also see the word Arabs. Well, isn't Arabs a kind of another way to say Muslims? Sort of. We're not looking here strictly for synonyms, but synonym-like things, okay? So popular culture, motion pictures. Well, certainly motion pictures or films are both ways to express pop culture, right? And don't just look at one item. Look at that whole first page of results and look and look and look. You go down a little further and what do we see? Okay, there we go. We see mass media. Well, motion pictures. Well, we already saw that. Okay. Other ways to say pop culture. Oh, how about television? And what about this? Stereotypes. Is that not another way to say portrayal? All right. And somewhere here I see Islam. Isn't Islam another way to say Muslims also? So these are all the words that I'm going to discover just scrolling through here. Now, what do I do with those words that I've found? Well, I add them to the search boxes. So if this search box is like all the ways to express Muslim, I'm going to add these other ways I've discovered. So I'm going to add or Arab or Islam. Okay, that's where the or comes in. Or is used to separate alternative ways of expressing the same idea. And with portray, what did I find? I found stereotype. And for pop culture, what did I find? I found mass media. I found film. I found motion picture. And you'll notice you can just keep typing. I found television, and so on. I think you get the idea. So now what I've done is I've added all these different options. So this is going to increase the number of results that I get. Let's see by how much. Okay, went all the way up to 238. Made a huge, huge difference. So I think we've revised our search. At this point, what you're going to be doing probably is looking over here at ways you want to limit that to obvious things like peer-reviewed articles and perhaps by date. Those are probably the two most common kinds of limits. Well, here we are at step 4. This is where we review what we found and select or collect those that we like. Now, how do you do this? Well, what I've seen some students do is this right-click on a title that looks interesting and open it in a new tab. Not a good idea. That new tab you've opened it in will not work in a few minutes, so don't do that. What you want to do instead is go down and look at a few of these items, okay? Maybe click on one, read the abstract, see if it looks promising. If it does, go over here where it says email and send it to yourself. The advantage of sending it to yourself is you'll get a link that will work, and you can also tell it to send you an MLA or APA or whatever citation, formatted citation. They won't be perfect, but all the information you need will be there. That's one thing you can do. Just review them one by one and email them to yourself. The other thing you can do is, as you scroll through, you can collect the ones you like by clicking over here where it has a little folder icon. So you collect a few in the folder. Then you can go up here and send yourself everything in the folder at one time, also asking for the MLA formatted citation. So those are the main things you need to do. There's only one more thing to really cover here, and that has to do with this issue. If you look at the difference here between the first item and the second item, you'll see this one has a PDF. This one does not. So for those that do not have the full text right there, you need to use this little button here called Find It at SCU. You click at Find It at SCU, different things can happen. The two most common things you're seeing right here go directly to the article. If I click that, it should, in theory, open the article right away. You could go to the journal to search for the article, okay? So that means this will take you to the journal link, so you're going to want to block and copy at least the first part of the title here so that you can search it when it takes you to the journal. What you do is you just kind of go down your options here. And if you get frustrated or they don't seem to be working, there's always this option at the bottom for interlibrary loan. Okay, and most of the time they'll be able to get you a PDF pretty quickly if you choose interlibrary loan as your option. So we've made it to the end of this now. Before you forget everything in this tutorial, go ahead and try it for yourself. Bye.